What's going down, everyone? And welcome back to the moment you've all been waiting for, my return for Eagle videos, John Ammo's Archives. Now, today we are going to focus, finally, on the state of events of what's going on. And then after this, I'm looking to make a Dallas Cowboy video maybe a little bit later when I'm a little bit more drunk and a little bit more fired up. But I did do a video on this same subject right after the game last Sunday, but like I told you guys, I was having such computer problems that I didn't upload it, and I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, wasted. Should I do it? I don't know. I can't figure out how to do it, really. That's the only reason why it's up. I've been having all these issues. So anyway, as you guys know, I have been pretty loyal to the Philadelphia Eagles in the sense that, you know, when we had Donovan McNabb, I always was a big supporter of McNabb, and you know, through all this turmoil and these ups and downs, now I've stuck by Andy Reid pretty solidly, I would say. Even though I dropped the occasional fat joke, and you know, even though he really hasn't warranted some of my support the last few years, I would say overall, as an Eagle fan, and you guys could probably agree with me, even though a lot of you guys fucking, you know, have your opinions about me, that I'm a pretty loyal Eagles fan, at least. Now, the time for my loyalty, and I stuck by Michael Vick, and I've always called him my quarterback as well, and did not like Kevin Cobb, though, I will say. And I'm not so sure about Nick Foles, but the time for my loyalty has gone about out the window for several reasons now. You know, first of all, if we were winning 10, 11, 12 ball games every year like we were when I first started making these videos, and I was talking about the Super Bowl every year, even if we didn't win a Super Bowl and we were still winning the division and we were still winning 11, 12 games every year, I would be fine with that because, you know, ultimately and honestly, I do want to win the Super Bowl. It's not just about winning division titles. But if you're going to keep me competitive every year, and you're going to keep me dreaming about the Super Bowl and thinking there's a possibility about the Super Bowl, then I'm a happy camper. I got to admit. I'm disappointed when we lose, don't get me wrong, but I'm a happy camper in the sense that I don't want to be 4-12 or 5-11. I want to stay in the thick of things. I hate, you know, when my team doesn't make the playoffs and is irrelevant. So the problem is, you know, the last 3 or 4 years now, we've been nothing more than an 8-8, 9-7 football team, and we don't even win 11 or 12 ball games. And now, I could understand if, you know, like I was a Cleveland Brown fan, and no offense if any of you guys are out there, I feel bad for you, or a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, or even like I don't want to say Washington Redskin fan because you guys at least have a couple Bulls, but like you know, there's 20 teams in the league that are just absolutely, you know, piss poor. And the fans of these teams every year, and I like some of their pages on Facebook just so I can get a feel of what's going on around the country, they know what they're getting into at the beginning of the season. The problem is with this Eagle team is it's good. It's really talented. You know, you really have a bona fide Pro Bowler at a lot of different positions if they're played correctly. But Andy Reid has literally taken a 12-4, 11-5, 10-6 football team and turned it into an 8-8 team for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. And it's nothing more than just underachieving on all levels of the game. So if you were to ask me, I honestly think the Eagles have a top 5 talented roster. But by far, and in the NFL, or maybe in the NFC, but by far and bar none, they are the sloppiest, most undisciplined team in football. I've never seen a team that just can't score in the red zone. I mean, you're talking about a team here that puts up 500 yards against the Saints. 500 yards, and can only get in the red zone one touchdown. Like, you know, and put up 13 points against the Saints. I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's now comical. And so, you know, one of the things, and as you can see here, guys, I got my Asante Samuel jersey on because I wanted to wear it specifically for this video. This guy can't make a personnel decision worth shit. And you know what? Everything Asante Samuel said about you, he's absolutely spot on the money. And you guys out there, I said from day one, you could look at the videos months ago, I never wanted to get rid of Asante Samuel. At the time, I was a little bit more sold on Nnamdi than DRC. I will say now that has completely flipped, but I wouldn't have gotten rid of Asante Samuel. I would have kept him on the squad. Nnamdi Asomugha, as we all know, is a fucking bum. I don't know what happened to this guy, but if you go and watch YouTube videos on him when he was on the Raiders, he was a dominating press cornerback. He used to shove people off at the line and knock them so hard that they wouldn't be able to get back on their routes. The guy is getting, as I said in my last video, he gets torched every game. And now you're getting called out by number 22, who you guys can say whatever you want. Asante Samuel can't tackle. Asante Samuel's got a bad attitude. But you know what? At the end of the day, Asante Samuel was good for 6 to 9 picks every single year. And some of those picks were game changers, and they won us ball games. And I'll take them any day of the week over this current bullshit that we have. Let's move on a little bit. Winston Justice. Why isn't Winston Justice on this football team right now? By the way, he's a Pro Bowler now. He's the 10th rated tackle in the AFC. Meanwhile, we groomed this guy for 5, 6, 7 years, and then we didn't want to pay him an extra $500,000. There's $1 million. Are you kidding me? And don't get me wrong, I know we replaced these guys on the line, but you have to fill your lineup with capable backups, man. You can't be picking off people from the grocery store. And that's Andy Reid's philosophy. He's a cheap son of a bitch. And underneath all these players where there should be actual NFL depth, we got grocery store bagging clerks and auto body mechanic workers. We have people that aren't on an NFL level. We got this Dallas guy and this Demetrius Bell guy who are just getting absolutely lit up out there, and it's because we don't have Winston Justice. It's because we don't have Jamal Jackson. It's because we don't have all these guys that we groomed for all these years, and then we just let them go. Just let them go. I really have to question the personnel decision on all levels. I don't know who's making this decision, but whoever made the decision, like let's take Brian Dawkins, for example. When we let Brian Dawkins go, he mysteriously went to the Pro Bowl the next 2 years and was still playing at a Pro Bowl level, all because we didn't want to pay him a couple $1 million. Meanwhile, we're $20 million over the cap every year, just like we are this year, and it's doing nothing for anybody because at the end of the day, what's the difference if you're $20 million in the cap? That does nothing for me. So, it's just time. It's the personnel decisions, all the decisions across the board. And the real crime of it all is you guys know how big of an Eagles fan I am. There's nothing more that I would rather us go on like a 6-7 game run right now. The problem is if I root for a 6 or 7 game run right now, I'm rooting for an Andy Reid contract extension. And at this point, I really, 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 I have no more faith in Andy Reid. I seen him blow a 10-point lead with 3.5 minutes left against the Lions. Inexplicable. I've just seen some things that tell me that he just honestly out and out just like doesn't know fundamental football. And it's gotten to the point now where he just thinks he's smarter than everybody else. I honestly, really, I can't take one more of his press conferences. If I see his press conference and I hear we got to get better one more time, like I'm just going to completely lose it. And now, Michael Vick, I tried, man. I really tried. I know it's not all your fault. I know you're getting pummeled out there. I know you're under duress and it's not fair, but you make some very questionable decisions, man, and I got to let you go, man. It's just time that I got to move on. If I'm moving on from Andy Reid, unfortunately, I got to move on from you too. There was a play in the game against the Saints. You cost. It's a 14-point swing, man. You got the ball in the red zone and you threw it, and it was returned for a 98-yard touchdown. That's game over in the first quarter. You can't keep costing us the game in the first quarter, man. It's killing us. The fumble against the Pittsburgh Steelers on the 1-yard line, regardless of the other one where you just dropped the ball right at your hands on the 40, but on the 1-yard line, that's another 14-point swing. I can't keep having this happen, man. I know you're not in the right playbook. I know you're getting killed out there, but at the same time, you've also been making some terrible, terrible decisions. I've supported you through halfway through the season, but it's just time. It's time to move on. I don't know if Nick Foles is the answer. I'm not sure that he is. It might be the second coming of Kevin Kolb. But, at this point, we don't have Donovan McNabb winning us 10, 11 games anymore, so I'm ready to move on. Now, lastly, as far as my football coach, who I want next year, I don't want Sean Payton, and I do not want John Gruden. I want Bill Cowher. And I understand the argument against Bill Cowher that he played for 15 seasons and then won a Super Bowl. Go Wikipedia Bill Cowher's NFL career. He's got 15 seasons under his belt, 149 to be exact, wins, averages out to 10 years, 10 wins a year. He has, in those 15 years, he's got 1 6-10 season, 1 7-9 season, 1 8-8 season. Every other season he went to the playoffs. So think about that. He's got a 12-9 playoff record. He won the Super Bowl finally after 15 years. I think now that winning is in his blood, that he could win another one within about 5 years because he knows what the game is all about. John Gruden did win the Super Bowl, but then he won 4 games respectively in his next 2 years, and he kind of inherited that team from Tony Dungy. And I do not want anybody new. I don't want any unknowns. This fucking idiot Andy Reid. One more thing before I go. Thank God I remembered this. Andy Reid has nobody but to blame, no one to blame but himself. After 17 months of experimenting with Sean McDermott, who had 0 offensive coordinated experience, which was mind-boggling to me, then he took a good offensive line coach in Juan Castillo, who, by the way, was here for 19 years and had a good reputation and was a good offensive line coach before Coach Reid fucked him over and put him in a position that he totally wasn't ready for. So then we went with 21 months of another inexperienced, no experienced defensive coordinator, and now the utter brilliance of this fucking slob, and this is another thing that drives me crazy, he's going to move in another guy with no defensive coordinator experience. And I was talking, you know what, my boy out there, my partner in crime, I was talking to my partner in crime, I told you, EDP, when this thing went down, what was going to happen? I said, another guy with no defensive coordinator experience? Come on, man. I'm like, really? How many more times do we got to put in there with somebody with no defensive coordinator experience? I mean, hell fucking low. The rest of the country 20 months ago was saying, dude, why don't you just put in Steve Spagnuolo? He won the Super Bowl with the Giants. And they were talking, but Spagnuolo wanted a little bit of money. And you know what? Andy Reid doesn't want a coaching controversy. Andy Reid knows that if he brings Steve Spagnuolo over here, after 6 weeks of failure, the fan base is going to be calling him out for a Steve Spagnuolo switch. So what does he do? He brings in an inferior asshole every year and a half so that when he fails, he can blame the inferior asshole. It's mind-boggling to me, and he did it again. He did it all over again. We have another defensive coordinator with no defensive coordinator experience. I'm like, fuck, man. All right, so I think that's all the points that I wanted to address. Check for me later back in the day. I will have a Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboy video because as much as I am ready to concede this season and fucking, no way, dude. I want to smoke these Cowboys so bad this weekend just because of all this nonsense that's been going on the last couple weeks. It'll be a good little bit of revenge for us. So I'll be back with that later in the day, and thank you for watching.